Could Kyle Whittingham be the next head coach at the University of Michigan? And how quickly could that happen, as he has fast become the top target to be the next head coach of the Wolverines? What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on Step Mill. If this is your first time watching Adapt and Respond, thank you for joining us here. We talk college football year round. If you're into that, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, like this video, and answer the question in the comments below. Do you think Kyle Whittingham is a good fit to be the next head coach at the University of Michigan? Last night late, he emerged as the top target for this job after Todd Monken had been vetted and there had been contact made, but really no movement after that. Michigan had also tried to hire Kalen DeBoer, and it felt like they were going to continue to try to hire Kalen DeBoer unless they found somebody they liked a little bit more, liked them just a little bit more. They also tried and missed on Kenny Dillingham. Eli Drinkwitz's name had been thrown around. Jed Fish's name had been thrown around. Jeff Brom had been asked, are you interested in the job? He's going, no, I got a good job. I like my job. It's a good one, and I expect to keep it. And then Kyle Whittingham, earlier this season, or I should say just as the season ended, announced that he was leaving the University of Utah, where he has been head coach for more than 20 years, famously took Utah to the 2008 Sugar Bowl, beat Alabama. I think they are denied a national championship that should belong to them. And Utah has been one of the better programs in college football the last 20 years. Matter of fact, I think the great comparison and parallel to what Kyle Whittingham has done at Utah is what Mike Gundy had done at Oklahoma State. The difference is Utah went from strength to strength from Urban Meyer to Kyle Whittingham. And really, we're talking about a guy that might have retired last year had he had a better season at Utah and said, I'm not going out like that. This year, flipped it around. They won 10 games. Their only losses were to the two teams that played in the Big 12 championship. And he put the program in great position to succeed with Jason Beck as an offensive coordinator, Devin Dampier as the quarterback, and longtime defense coordinator Morgan Scalley moves into the head coaching role. He'd been head coaching waiting for some time. It's actually the only time that I can remember seeing the head coach in waiting actually be a smooth transition after some time of waiting by the head coach in waiting. Jimbo Fisher kind of got in there a little too quickly for Bobby Bowden, I think. And for the longest time, felt like Will Muschamp, Manny Diaz going to be that guy for Mac Brown at Texas. Never really happened that way. But Morgan Scalley had always been a Kyle Whittingham guy. Had opportunities to be a defense coordinator elsewhere, had opportunities to be a head coach elsewhere, decided to stick and stay. What I think precipitated this move that isn't getting enough buzz or talk about is the chunk of itself that Utah sold private equity. One of the things that I think is interesting about this time, especially as you're about to see more programs take down more private equity in a way of trying to just get more money to pay players to make better facilities, while having to go through revenue sharing and raise money for name, image, and likeness, is guys that might not fit the mold of cost cutting and wanting to do it a different way, doing it a more efficient way, are going to go, you know what? Nah, I'm not sticking around for that. And Kyle Whittingham, who was in his late 60s, decided that was not going to be him. He was not going to stick around to find out what this was going to be like. And he made a very clear point in his retirement that in his leaving Utah, that he was not retiring, that he still wanted to coach college football, that he could still do it at a high level. Sounds a lot like Bronco Mendenhall at Virginia, who said he just needed to take some time, came back in New Mexico, ends up at Utah State. Now, is it the best fit for Michigan if Kyle Whittingham were to take this job? I think it's a good fit. He fits their DNA from a football program standpoint. They want to be more physical than anyone else. They want to be big in the trenches. They want to lean on their run game. They don't need or want to have a 4,000-yard passer, though they do want a quarterback who can make plays. They want a defense that doesn't even bend, let alone break. It takes the ball away. It stops people from converting on third down. While Wink Martindale is Wink Martindale, I don't know that he really wants to stay at Michigan any longer than perhaps he has to, because Chip Lindsey's already bounced, right? He's going to be the new offense coordinator at Missouri. And you're doing this without an offensive coordinator for the Texas Bowl. And Biff Poggi, who is thrown his hat in the ring, has been interviewed multiple times, usually being interviewed multiple times, not necessarily the best thing for the person that wants the job. Person that wants a job usually gets interviewed one time. Maybe you get interviewed once by more than one person, but multiple interviews to me is always struck of, are we sure about this, as opposed to a guy that everybody can stand up and say, that's the guy. And that's what you want. And I think Kyle Whittingham gives the Board of Regents, Ward Emanuel, and the president, interim as he is, an opportunity to stand up at all and say, that's the guy. He is going to be no nonsense in his approach. He's got an old school demeanor. He's still one of the toughest SOBs walking around and gets to call himself head coach. I love to see Kyle Whittingham in a wrestling match against Matt Campbell. And it would be interesting to note that while everybody wants to poo-poo the Big 12, two of the biggest hires in the Big 10 coaching cycle would have come out of the Big 12 in Kyle Whittingham of Utah and Matt Campbell at Iowa State, who would be going to Michigan and Kyle Whittingham, and is at Penn State in Matt Campbell. Matt Campbell's also one of those grinded out, I'm going to do it the right way, and we're going to do it hard guys that, I think fits right into the Big Ten, honestly. I think it's a great hire. Along with guys like Pat Fitzgerald, who's a retread, but also a no-nonsense ball coach. I'm going to run the ball and play defense, right? Kurt Ferentz is the patron saint of Big Ten style of football that you know about, making Ohio State looking more and more like an outlier. But Ohio State would tell you, hey, we run the ball, we play defense, we're much more efficient than we used to be. We're the defending national champs. And one of the reasons is you're not going to be able to just run right through us. We expect to run right through you. Now, is there going to be a mess for Kyle Whittingham to walk through? Yes, but I think he gets to come in with a clean slate. He gets to come in not knowing anything about what has transpired, I should say, not knowing more than anybody else about what has transpired at Michigan in the last 5 years. And he can participate wholeheartedly in this colonoscopy that the lawyers are doing, while the University of Michigan continues to see what its investigation roots out and what happens to Sharon Moore, criminal and civilly, gets to stay over here. You get to perhaps retain Bryce Underwood, we'll see, and retain Andrew Sprague, we'll see, and retain Jordan Marshall, who's a great tailback, we'll see. But you also know a guy that is going to recruit players from places where Michigan doesn't normally recruit, and they're all going to be good. They're all going to be able to play. And one of the better offensive linemen in this 2025 NFL-ready draft class was already at Utah. He's able to do that for you. I think as this season as this season of the coaching cycle continues to go on, he might be the only guy they settle on, because it doesn't feel like Todd Monken's chomping at the bit to be the next head coach of Michigan. But if Kyle Whittingham is, you got a guy that can coach, you got a guy that's going to stick, you got a guy you can trust. The only question I have that needs to be answered is, does he get to keep the job long term if they win? And I think, yeah, he does. I don't think this is a 1-year rental. I think if they go 9-3 or even 8-4, Kyle Whittingham gets to stick around for another year. But even then, I would try to get as far away from Matt Weiss, Connor Stallions, and Sharon Moore and the Jim Harbaugh era as I can, and try to put that thing in the blender or put that thing in an isolated spot where nobody else gets to touch it. And we go, hey, that thing happened over there, but we're doing this over here. If you are working in public relations for the University of Michigan, you're probably excited about this as well. Again, I think this is great for the University of Michigan, and I think this is great for Kyle Whittingham if it happens, if it comes through. Again, I realize that these are all big ifs. I realize that none of this has happened, but it feels like this could go down, if it is going to go down, as soon as this afternoon. So we will track it. And we will keep an eye on it, and we will make sure we know what we know. But right now, that's the news to follow. That's the news to know. Kyle Whittingham could be the next head coach for the University of Michigan, which frankly, even a year ago felt impossible. But that's kind of where we are in college football right now. All the things that I would have thought were impossible 5 years ago are happening. Indiana's the number 1 team in the country, guys. Oklahoma got a home playoff game, even if it got embarrassed in it. Like, these are all this. I think this is a great time to be a college football fan, but I realize that I might be a minority.